Thomas Manis, a driver in Tennessee, is suing the state and two state troopers for $1 million after he says he was wrongfully arrested and detained for DUI despite being completely sober. Thomas Manis was pulled over while driving along US 411 when Trooper Riley Shreiner told him the tint on his windows was too dark, an allegation Manis says is baseless. This is reporting from Law and Crime. It says the complaint says that as Shreiner ordered Manis to provide his license, registration, and proof of insurance, Manis cooperated, remaining respectful, restrained, courteous, and compliant throughout. Nevertheless, Shreiner went back to his patrol car and shared Manis's name with his colleague, Officer William Yates Matoy, who was with him on the scene. Shreiner told Yates Matoy that he saw no evidence of intoxication, nor did he smell marijuana, the complaint said. Yates Matoy, however, knew who Manis was and allegedly drew his own conclusions about his state of mind. Upon learning of the plaintiff's identity, Officer Yates Matoy stated that he knew the plaintiff's brother and he guaranteed the plaintiff had weed in his vehicle and that the plaintiff had probably smoked weed the morning of the incident in question, the complaint said. At this point, Shreiner went back to Manis's car and asked him about drug use. When Manis asked Shreiner why he was being interrogated, Shreiner told Manis that his eyes were red, therefore Manis was suspected of driving under the influence, the complaint alleged. Manis told Shreiner that his eyes were red because he had just woken up. That's when Yates Matoy, unsatisfied with Manis's successful performance on the field sobriety test, took over, the lawsuit alleges, instructing Manis to perform additional field sobriety tests and asking him to recall the most recent time he smoked marijuana. As Manis's traffic stop was happening, his mother, Angela Manis, drove by and pulled over to the side of the road. She asked, "Why is my son being arrested?" "For driving under the influence, ma'am," Shreiner replied. "He has not been drinking, sir. If you have falsely arrested him, you're going to be in trouble, I promise you, because I know my son," she said. Manis, who allegedly passed additional field tests, told the officer that it had been 4 years since he last smoked and guaranteed that if he was given a blood test, it would come back clear. Yates Matoy then administered more tests on Manis before arresting him for DUI. After Manis is arrested and a tow truck driver arrives to take his car, the driver can be heard asking Shreiner, "Was he drunk?" Shreiner turns off the audio when he responds. Interesting. The lawsuit says that later tests confirmed that neither drugs nor alcohol were in Manis' system at the time of the arrest. Despite this, the complaint says Manis spent several hours in jail, his mugshot was taken and made publicly available, and his vehicle was seized and towed to the police impound yard. Months later, in April, the charges were dropped according to the complaint. Manis's claims include unlawful seizure, false arrest, illegal search, false imprisonment, and assault. His complaint seeks $1 million in compensatory damages and an undetermined amount in punitive damages. The Tennessee Highway Patrol did not immediately respond to Law and Crime's request for comment. That's an insane story. You know, when they say just comply, just be cooperative with these cops, I wonder if the people who make arguments like that, how they would respond in a situation like this one, where you're obviously doing nothing wrong and the cops are just keep telling you, do this, do this, do this, and then they arrest you anyway. And again, these cops have deadly weapons. So should you, even be perceived to have an attitude with them or raise your voice, let alone, like say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, this is dumb. They have all the authority in the world to arrest you, to detain you, to kill you. And they're probably going to be protected by the law to do so. So, Tehran, this is a crazy story. What do you think?
I think that unfortunately, this goes back to the business of being a police officer. This goes back to a lot of the problems we see within the police force. I do think that we should have more officers like this officer because clearly he's an X-Men. He's Professor X, he's Miss Cleo, he's got pre-crime down. He can just tell. He doesn't even need evidence. What is that? Why do we need to be presumed innocent until proven guilty? Thankfully, we have cops like this who make sure that the taxpayers pay more money for his costly mistakes. We've seen this in the case of Taven Galanakis, who was in Iowa, who got pulled over, and in fact, sued the police officers. And in a twist of events, the police officers are now suing him in return for simply posting his video on YouTube. So posting the truth is now getting him sued. We had that officer and the Nashville cop and Goodlettsville cops who were pulling people over at 3 times the amount, arresting them for DUI, and they were all sober. And now we have this. When is enough enough? When are
Yeah.
we going to realize that the cost does not benefit us as a society?
Yeah, it's such a waste of time and resources and money, tax dollars that are going to these people to do what? Like, what are you doing with the money? Are you actually serving and protecting, or are you just being petty and, on the job? That's the job that you sought out, that you wanted. I said it in the last story, I'll say it again. We have to be very skeptical of the people who seek out positions of power like that. Why do you want this job? What are you going to do with this job? And, if he's Professor X, he's not very good at it, like maybe he needs to hit that mutant juice a little bit harder, because if he's not good at it, right? Like, this guy had nothing wrong with him. Even if he had smoked weed 4 years ago, it doesn't matter. There's no reason for them to have suspected him. His eyes were red. There's a million reasons why somebody's eyes could be red. My eyes get red because I have allergies. That's real.